I want to read to you this article about just the kind of state that this climate is in that we're dealing with right now. This is an article from the AP, and it says Tuesday set an unofficial record for the hottest day on Earth. Wednesday may break it. Hottest day on Earth since records began. And listen to that. That's somebody's setting off the smoke detector in my building. It always happens. But anyway, I don't know if you can even hear that, but it says the planet's temperature spiked on Tuesday to its hottest day in decades and likely centuries. And Wednesday could become the third straight. That's kind of ironic, you know. Not only does it feel like my neighborhood is burning down from the heat, but so is the whole planet. And Wednesday could become the third straight day Earth officially marks a record-breaking high. It is the latest in a series of climate change extremes that alarm but don't surprise scientists. Again, we were warned, but nobody listened. The globe's average temperature reached 62.9 degrees Fahrenheit on Tuesday, according to the University of Maine's Climate Reanalyzer, a common tool based on satellite data, observations, and computer simulations used by climate scientists for a glimpse of the world's condition. On Monday, the average temperature was 62.6 degrees Fahrenheit, setting a record that only lasted 24 hours. So here's a little graphic for you we'll play. And you can see, look at how hottest temperature on record here. Very alarming, folks. This is the climate emergency that we're in, all right? For scientists, it's a sweaty case of, I told you so. Yeah, we've been trying to tell people that for like 20 or 30 years with people. They just won't listen. You know, they just want to keep burning fossil fuels like it's going out of style, like we're invincible, we're in our own little world, nothing's going to affect us, you know, and blah, blah, blah. This freaking arrogance that a lot of it comes from the right. A lot of it comes from the right, as you'll see in this article here. So, and that's one thing I have a big problem with the right on. All right? But it's not just the right. All right? A record like this is another piece of evidence for the now massively supported proposition that global warming is pushing us into a hotter future, said Stanford University climate scientist Chris Field, who was not part of the calculations. On Wednesday, 38 Americans were under some kind of heat alert, said the National said NOAA chief scientist Sarah Kilpatrick. She said the global heat is from a natural El Nino warming of the Pacific that heats up the planet as it changes worldwide weather on top of the human climate change from burning coal, oil, and gas. Even normally cooler communities are feeling the heat, such as North Grenville, Ontario. The city turned ice hockey rinks into cooling centers as temperatures on Wednesday hit 90 degrees Fahrenheit, with humidity making it feel like it was 100.4 degrees Fahrenheit. I feel like we live in a tropical country right now, said city spokesman Jill Sturdy. It just kind of hits you. The air is so thick. The record highs are unofficial but significant. University of Maine scientist Sean Burkle, creator of the Climate Reanalyzer, said the daily figures are unofficial but a useful snapshot of what's happening in a warming world. Think of it as the temperature of someone who's ill. He said, it tells you something might be wrong, but you need longer-term records to work like a doctor's exam for a complete picture. While the figures are not an official government record, this is showing us an indication of where we are right now, said NOAA chief scientist Sarah Kipnick. And NOAA indicated it will take the figures into consideration for its official record calculations. Even though the data set used for the unofficial record goes back to only 1979, Kapnick said that given other data, the world is likely seeing the hottest day in several hundred years that we've experienced. Scientists generally use much longer measurements, months, years, decades, to track the Earth's warming, but the daily highs are an indication that climate change is reaching uncharted territory. Just how hot is it? With many places seeing temperatures near 100 degrees Fahrenheit, the new average temperature might not seem very hot, but Tuesday's global high was nearly 1.8 degrees Fahrenheit, a full degree Celsius higher than the 1979 to 2000 average, which already tops the 20th and 19th century averages. High temperature records were surpassed this week in Quebec and Peru. Beijing recorded 9 straight days last week when the temperature exceeded 95 degrees Fahrenheit. Cities across the U.S., from Medford, Oregon to Tampa, Florida, have been hovering at all-time highs, said Zach Taylor, a meteorologist with the National Weather Service. Alan Harris, director of emergency management for Seminole County, Florida, said that they've already exceeded last year in the number of days they've had their extreme weather plan activated, a measure initiated when the heat index will be at 108 or higher. It's just kind of been brutally hot for the last week, and it looks like potentially for 2 weeks. In the U.S., heat advisories include portions of western Oregon, inland far northern California, central New Mexico, Texas, Florida, and coastal Carolinas, according to the National Weather Service Weather Prediction Center. And they're also continuing across southern Arizona and California. Some populations are still at risk, but many are still outdoors. Higher temperatures translate into brutal conditions for people all over the world. When heat spikes, humans suffer health effects, especially the young and elderly. All right? People aren't used to that. Their bodies aren't used to that, said Elaine Safel, Arizona state climatologist and an expert in extreme weather and climate events. That's important to understand who might be at risk, making sure people are hydrated, they're staying cool, and they're not exerting themselves outside, taking care of those folks around you who might be at risk. Overall, the heat means something a little different to everyone. In West Texas, it's cool wraps and Gatorade for construction workers, said Joe Staley, a job site superintendent for a company that builds wastewater treatment plants. In Portland, it's extra water on backyard vegetable gardens, said Martha Alvarado. In Minnesota, it's difficult workout on the family vineyard thanks to extra humidity and for Joe Rosen. In Dallas, the heat also means a sense of camaraderie for musician Sam Corner, who often plays outdoors. Apartment dwellers with their windows open step out to bring him a drink. People are still walking around outside even with the weather, and as he plays his guitar, which is lighter than other equipment. He'd rather be outside than sweating, he said, than be inside on a computer. So some people can take the heat. I'm not one of them, and that's why it scares me. How we got here and where we're going. Noah Kapnick said the global heat is from a natural and El Nino warming of the Pacific that heats up the globe as it changes worldwide weather on top of the human-caused climate change from the burning of coal, oil, and gas. Not all records are meant to be broken. In almost every corner of our planet, people are facing the brunt of unprecedented heat waves, said United Nations Environment Program Director Inger Anderson. We ignore science at our own peril. It is the poorest and most vulnerable that continue to suffer from our inaction. The highs come after months of truly unreal meteorology and climate stats for the year, such as an off-the-chart record warmth in the North Atlantic, record low sea ice in Antarctica, and a rapidly strengthening El Nino. Wednesday may bring another unofficial record, with the Climate Reanalyzer again forecasting record or near-record heat. Antarctica's average forecast for Wednesday is a whopping 4.5 degrees, 8.1 degrees Fahrenheit warmer than the 1979-2000 average. Because humidity hasn't stopped pumping heat-trapping gases into the air, future generations will look back at the summer of 2023 as one of the coolest of the rest of your life, said Texas A&M climate scientist Andrew Dressler. And that's truly what really scares me. And this is the kind of reality we're in. This is the kind of reality we're in right now. And you can just look at all the heat here across. We're going to just look at the Ventus sky, and you can see all the heat. Just look at how far north it's expanding here. And I'm going to pull this back to 3 o'clock in the afternoon today, and you'll see how far the heat has stretched even into the most northern areas of Quebec. Look at that. That is absolutely crazy. And even, like, these are, like, way, way up in the Arctic, these areas here. And it's just so hot. You could see why the whole planet is just dealing with all this heat that we have here, that we have put into the atmosphere. And nobody wants to do anything about it. Nobody wants to do anything about it. And there was an article in Riverhead News Review. Let's see if... And I don't know if we're going to be allowed to read it, because I know they do have... now they paywalled. I think it was Riverhead News Review that had it. Oh, here goes the smoke alarm again. Listen to this. Maybe I should call the fire department, stop this video. It's somebody else is doing something in their apartment. They're cooking something. They don't care. I live with... I don't know if it was Riverhead News Review. It might have been 27 East that had it. It was 27 East. Had a nice little editorial. If I can't find it, I don't know where it is. But I can't seem to find it. Let's see if I can find it. Oh, yeah, Crossroads. This is it right here. Don't know if we're going to be able to read it. All right, so this is from the editorial board here, and I want to read this to you. It was only a few years ago when we had the luxury of debating whether or not global warming was reality. There are conversations about whether the Earth's warming temperatures were just a localized trend or something worse. Today, the picture is clearer. Global warming caused by greenhouse gases is an unmistakable part of that picture, and the melting permafrost is releasing methane, one of those greenhouse gases, into the atmosphere. That could quickly accelerate a problem described in stark terms today by NASA. There is unequivocal evidence the Earth is warming at an unprecedented rate. Human activity is the principal cause. A bigger problem now is climate change. It incorporates the warming globe, but adds in various other changes in precipitation, wind speed, and frequency of storms that will arise. A temperate climate like the east end of Long Island won't be devastated by the worst impacts of rising air temperatures, though here in the urban hellhole of Inner Mineola, it certainly will. But it certainly will get the resulting intense storms, rising tides, and other effects. And we haven't even mentioned the local impact of Canadian wildfires caused by drought conditions. Just a year ago, the New York Times noted that all 50 Republicans, this is why I said what I said about the right, plus one Democrat, Joe Manchin of West Virginia, had combined to kill the Biden administration's powerful response to climate change in the U.S. Senate. As the Times noted, few Republicans in Congress now outwardly dismiss the scientific evidence that human activities, the burning of oil, gas, and coal, have produced gases that are dangerously heating the Earth, but pushed by those industries, they are now saying that any significant move to address the situation would be too damaging for the economy. You know, the people getting rich off all this stuff. You know, in short, the Times concluded, delay is the new denial. A quick look at the aforementioned headlines today, 12 months later, suggests that delay is just as fatalistic as outright denial. Any hope that it would be a generation or more before climate change began to take a measurable toll is gone. It's here, it's gathering steam, and none of us can pretend we didn't see it coming. The disaster is now. It has to change the nature of conversations that are taking place, internationally, nationally, and locally. We simply don't have the luxury of novel grazing when it comes to green energy. The truth is we're making remarkable progress from fossil fuel-based energy to renewable options, and the successors should demand more investment. There are legitimate concerns and viable debates about how wind energy, battery storage facility, and transmission lines are sited, but they must take place in the context of a growing crisis that demands steady progress. Though I also think there's another. I'll give that opinion when I'm done here reading. The South Fork is the cutting edge of this revolution, and the well-established infrastructure for electric vehicles, a groundbreaking wind farm going in just offshore, solar panels becoming a standard feature in many homes, and solar arrays being added on municipal properties. The positive impact can be immense, and it could help both usher in a new era and provide a template for other communities to adapt. We're at a crossroads. In one direction, the ocean rises even faster, gobbling up more waterfront properties, and vehicle exhaust combines with wildfire smoke to choke us into steel and brutal heat. Hurricane season expands, more storms hit with greater ferocity thanks to warming water, which also kills what's left of the bay's marine life. Montauk becomes Shelter Island, accessible only by ferry. The other path, quite frankly, a lot of the above might still be true. It may be too late to heat it off entirely. Oh, it is. But that route offers some hope that the lessons we've learned and are currently learning don't go to waste. In reality, it is the only sensible path. We need to get on it and put on the gas pedal, or should I say the electric car's accelerator, to the floor. And I agree with that. You know, one thing that was not mentioned, though, is public transportation. Like the disaster known as Nice Bus, all right? They're breaking down. There's been a lot of problems. We have less people taking buses now than 15 years ago. Actually, we have less places. Shouldn't say 15. Yeah, I'll say 15 years ago, all right? We had way more people taking the bus 15 years ago because we had MTA Long Island Bus. Nice Bus has cut bus service. Their buses are unreliable. Their drivers are poorly trained. You know, nobody, you want to do something about the environment. Well, we've got to fix this. And we fix this by getting MTA back in the picture. We get regional bus back on the table. We have Queens bus-style service here in Nassau. That's what we need. We need less people driving and consuming. But nobody gets it. From the governor to Laura Curran to Bruce Blakeman, none of them get it, what we need to do. None of them get it. None of them get it. You know, Bruce Blakeman, who's currently, you know, the county executive, all right, because, you know, Laura Curran didn't do crap for us either, all right, but Bruce Blakeman is a freaking disgrace, this guy. He's a freaking disgrace, this guy, all right? You know, nice is not nice, All right, NICE just stranded 20 people today, and there are breakdowns all over the place. I tried taking NICE on Monday. They didn't show up, Bruce. All right? You know what people say? Get a car. Yeah, let's consume more fossil fuel. Get a car. Get a car. That's what they want you to do on Long Island. Get a car. No, we should be improving public transportation. We should be massively improving public transportation. TransDev is incapable and unwilling to do that. The only people who know how to run a bus system properly, we know who ran a bus system properly, Bruce, and that was the MTA, and they need to come back. But I know people will never, I'll never accept that NICE is here to stay. Because as long as NICE is here to stay, people in Nassau and on Long Island are going to continue to choose driving over taking the bus. Because NICE sucks, and it will always suck. All right? They don't know what they're doing. All right? And, yeah, that's kind of like my rant in this video, you know. It is. It's kind of my rant. And my other rant in this video goes to News 12, who, and people are really kind of, you know, got the wrong idea when I talked about all this whole thing. You know, this is bad. This thing that's going on in Babylon. And it's a sign of climate change, folks. But do they mention climate change once in this video? Well, let's find out and watch.
Information tonight from the town of Babylon about a canal that mysteriously turned black over the weekend. News 12's Tama Ponton is live on the canal right now. And Tama, what have you learned today about this?
Well, Joe, a Babylon town official tells me that the likely reasons for this canal you see behind me turning black are because of decaying seaweed, eelgrass, the warmer weather this time of year, and boats kicking up sludge. Now, we are still waiting official test results from Suffolk County and its health department about this water. But
no, the reason it's happening is because your waters are warmer than normal, you know, and that's causing the growth of algae and a whole. But see how this is just one example, and of course, because it affects them on the South Shore, it will get talked about.
Tell me the smell out here is so bad that some of them stayed inside yesterday for the 4th. And I can tell you, just sitting here on this boat, it stinks out here. That is
and the Argyle Lake also is a bad smell.
First thing you notice when you come out. We've given you a look now from on the canal. Let's give you a look from up above. Earlier today, our News 12 drone was above. You can see just how many homes are impacted by what is now a Blackwater Canal here on Little East Neck Road South and South Bay Drive.
They won't mention climate
Residents
change.
also say wildlife is turning up dead in this water. One woman telling me she even saw birds swooping in and carrying away some of those dead animals. Now, as for what exactly turned this canal water black, multiple agencies are investigating the cause. According to the Ghost Card, it is not oil or gas. Black and brown tides have also been ruled out. And today, the waterways management supervisor for the town of Babylon told me that there are no health issues with the water. He says it is not putting anything into the air that people are breathing that's harmful. He said
it's the heat. It's the heat. We had a very warm winter. This sets off. This is just one example, but they miss the whole reason why this and so many other things are happening. The same thing with the shark attacks. They missed the same reason. It's because of climate change, News 12. But no, because they're gearing to the ignorant MAGA idiots on the South Shore.
Says this is a water quality issue.
More than likely, it's probably just years of just decaying seaweed and eelgrass. This is a dead-end canal. It's not like a natural stream where there's a river coming down and flushing it out constantly. This is just an artificial canal. The wind blows this material in, it builds up for years, and basically decomposes to like a black sludge.
Now, that waterways management supervisor also told me that this canal has been nominated for dredging, but there are no residents here tell me they have heard that before, that this canal is going to be dredged. They are hoping that now that this water recently turned black, that perhaps that dredging schedule.
So no mention of climate change there. We know climate change is behind it, all right? We know climate change is behind this. Same thing with the sharks. We know climate change is behind all these shark attacks. You have a lot of sharks that normally would be further south that are closer. They're further north because the waters are warmer.
12 is over Robert Moses right now. The site of one of 5 suspected shark bites this week.
I'm not even going to play this whole story. I don't have the patience for this, all right? It's all about the ignorant people on the South Shore in their own little world, not realizing that this is an effect of climate change. Yes, you too. I bake here in Mineola, dying in my urban hellhole from the heat. You have to deal with these problems too. Everybody on this planet is going to suffer from climate change. Stop drinking the freaking Trump Kool-Aid and put away the MAGA hats, put the flags away, and wake the hell up, because this planet is dying. And we need to do something about it. That is all.